Hello, everyone. Good evening to all of you if you are in India, and good morning to all of you in US. This talk show, Sell Like Her talk show, is dedicated to inspire and empower women to pursue and excel in sales by filling the gender gap and to live fully and independently. So, I'll be interviewing amazing, successful women sales leaders and CEOs from India and around the globe, where we discuss their sales journey, their challenges, then their wins, and much more. So, now we are going to start this show with our guest, Sujata Satpur. So, hi, Sujata, how are you?
Hi, good morning, Thilaga. Good morning to everybody around the globe. Firstly, a very happy New Year, since mine is the first podcast in the year, and I'm really grateful that you thought of me worthy of being on this talk show, Thilaga. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so before we ask you your journey, let me introduce you. That's my privilege to interview, to just to give an intro before we start the show. So, Sujata is a senior sales leader with over 2 decades of sales leadership and business development, who has spent the last many years leading B2B sales for many global organizations in consulting and advisory sales across multiple geographies and verticals. She is a firm believer in the power of women in sales and is a true example of having managed family and successful sales career. Over the last many years, she has been recipient of many sales awards in her career as and believes that her best is yet to come. So we will see what is the best she wants that to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Sujata, we are very curious to know how it's all started because we know, right, women pursuing sales is a big challenge. So, how it's all started?
I think all of us, have to give credit to the way we have been brought up, the value system that our parents have instilled in us. And we are a family of three sisters. And uh, right from childhood, one of the key ingredients, I guess, that my mother put in her spicy Indian curry was that you've got to believe in yourself. You have to go for whatever your goals are. So I think that kind of upbringing is where it all starts, actually. And then over the years, you get various opportunities where your family urges you, encourages you, pushes you to believe in yourself, take that leap of faith. And I think that's where it all started professionally. I started off with the information technology industry, where my first job was actually not of that of a salesperson, but it was more customer service, it was marketing. And it is only after the first few years I met up my life partner, who's now my life partner, was just a colleague at that point of time, who and then my manager as well believed that I was great at managing people, per se, clients, colleagues, otherwise, and they felt that I could make a tremendous impact in sales. And that's how I transitioned from a back end to a very front end kind of a sales professional, and that's where it all started.
So, in your family, you are the first person getting into sales or entrepreneurship, or already someone started?
No, my father, in fact, who is associated with the publishing industry, has always been a business leader. In fact, has been a sales leader for most part of his years. Has led businesses successfully for various Indian and global firms. And so, I think maybe early on, maybe before I even realized that sales was my calling in life. I think I imbibed a few things from him in terms of managing people, in terms of going after what I wanted, just being very aligned to being achievement oriented. I think all of those qualities came to me from my father. And then, of course, my mom, who ably supported him, was is somebody from where I accrued a lot of other, I would say, skills, and again, unknowingly so, but they so helped me during the course of my sales career, which I'm very grateful to them for. So yes, he was kind of my first role model, even if I didn't know it then.
Okay, fine. So, like you said, your colleague become a husband. Like how the life partner plays an important role in life, especially for a girl who wants to pursue in sales and grow in sales.
I think personally, a life partner plays an important role in any kind of a career decision you have, whether it's sales or otherwise. I think it's a partnership, like you rightly said. We support each other. But in my case, I think my husband, being a front end sales leader, has also made him very, very perceptive and sensitive to certain demands and asks from a salesperson, irrespective of whether she's a woman or a man. But I think doubly so if she's a woman, because then we are managing our careers as well as managing our families, looking after parents, in-laws, children. So there is definitely a lot more demanded out of sales women versus salesmen. But I think him being from a similar background and doing a similar kind of job was definitely very, very helpful. And has been and continues to be a never ending source of encouragement for me, for which I'm really thankful. But he's the one who sort of uh, got it all together for me, saying that maybe I was meant for a more sales oriented career, and maybe the great relationship building skills that I have were much more suited to sales. And sort of at the beginning it was more of he thought this, and I thought, okay, let me try it out. But once I think the bug bit me, then I was all for it. And then from that point onwards, it was a flag that I wanted to carry as a saleswoman, as a sales leader. So but his being there and understanding backgrounds, etc., and the demands was very helpful.
I think kudos to your husband. For a woman or any career for a woman to grow in a good role, I think family support is plays an important role.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree to that totally.
Yeah, and I'm keen to know like your 25 years journey in sales.
Ooh, that would take a few podcasts to cover, but
Okay.
I'm going to try and
Yeah.
encapsulate it. I've been associated, like I said, with a lot of the top firms in terms of information technology, in terms of intelligence, consulting, advisory, sales. Have began with a very field sales kind of a role, and over the years have grown into more strategic advisory, senior level kind of sales and business development. But the journey has been with different industries. It has been with selling to different geographies. I have sold and I have grown businesses in India. I have done it for European regions. I have done it for the US, for Canada. So it's been a very, very interesting mix of geographies, very different styles of selling in that were associated, just because sales is very associated to the culture that you're selling in. You need to understand and imbibe the culture, the kind of enterprises, the kind of people that you're selling to. And that is very much determined by which geography, country, which language you're selling in. So there has been a whole lot of mix for me from that perspective. From a product and service perspective, I've done it software sales, in office automation, and then going on to more, I would say, higher level sales of consulting projects, advisory sales, all of that, which is what I do currently. The last 25 years has been a glorious mix of all of these. Each part of the journey has so much that has contributed to me being the salesperson that I am today. And it really doesn't matter if you're a vice president of sales or sales manager or an account executive. You have to love the craft. You have to love what you're doing in order to be successful. You have to believe in yourself. As a salesperson, especially, I believe if somebody were to ask me to, pull together my 25 years, I think what has really served me well is this huge sense of self worth. You have to believe in yourself. It's a job that is very demanding of. You have a bad sales day and you start doubting yourself. So your sense of self-worth has to be very strong. You have to, even if you've had an unsuccessful day and you haven't closed business, you have to go to bed and next morning get up with the same amount of excitement and exuberance to go back to knocking doors again. That's huge. That's tough. And and especially when you have other demands as a woman on yourself as well. You have sick kids, or you have a husband or in-laws that you have to support your family. And within all this, I think if you have a wavering feeling of self-doubt, it doesn't help. So that has always been a leading criteria for me being successful in sales, is that I never doubted that I would be on the top. And if you have that feeling, you can just go for it. And that's something I want every saleswoman out there to believe it that yes, you can do it, and that whatever be the challenges, there's always a different path available. You just have to be innovative to think, and there are many people who contribute to your success, but you have, overall and most importantly, you have to believe in yourself. I think that's really key to being a super successful professional. Leave aside a salesperson, I think that self-worth, that feeling of yes, I'm worthy of all that I'm investing in myself, is very important. And that is sort of my 25 years longish answer to your question. But like I said, so many different components that have contributed to this journey, but these are just some very important ones.
I think it's profound that one believing in herself is the first step towards success, I believe.
Absolutely. You have to believe that at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, whatever be your goal, that you're going to get there, come whatever. You just have to choose from which path you go on or walk on, but that belief has to be there. That's supreme.
Mm. That's why the topic we kept as leveraging her skills. So, what do you see about it?
You know, it's funny that we're talking about women in sales. I just think that women in sales is a no-brainer. We have such natural instincts that lend themselves so well to women being in sales. The fact that we are great nurturers. We nurture families, we nurture relationships, we nurture children. We just, all of those nurturing instincts are such a great fit to a sales job. And most salespeople, most saleswomen will realize that as you grow up in the rung, as you grow up in the hierarchy, as you do more strategic sales, high value sales, that nurturing instinct is so important. You have to invest in your clients, whether there is a deal on the table or not. And those nurturing instincts come so naturally to a woman. So, for me, like I said, it's a no brainer. I believe skills like, when we're bringing up motherhood, it's such a journey of love, patience, multitasking, so many different attributes to the job of a mother that lend itself so well to a salesperson or a saleswoman's life. And I believe these are all skill sets that each of us, we don't even have to go to B school for this. We just have it, and we just have to recognize, leverage, and apply them. I think that's very important. And the rest just follows a suit. The self-worth, leveraging your natural instincts as a woman, your instincts of being organized, they're just all so important for a salesperson, and we have it all. So I think we are just born to be successful in a sales career, to be honest.
Wow. Wow. I think the audience must be feel happy to listen all this, positive inputs, I would say. So how some like a mother playing a bigger role, what kind of conversations, like, because I know you really have a wonderful family, your son, what kind of conversation being a mother is important to a son or a daughter so that it upbrinds well?
Um, I'd like to mention one point about my mom. So she's not a career woman. Her only career was her family, bringing up her daughters, bringing, keeping the family together, and just she's a homemaker. But the one thing that I really learned from her was, you know, karma. I'm sure the Indian audience would understand this more easily than the than our audiences in global countries. But karma is something, is your you just do your job. And I think my mom very strongly believed in doing her karma, in bringing making her contributions as the woman of the house and as the mother to three daughters. And I think that one piece of advice is something that I'd like to share with my fellow colleagues, my fellow women sales professionals, is do your karma. Don't let anybody tell you how to do it, what to do it. Yes, you take your advice, you take your opinions, your suggestions from colleagues, from everybody, but just make sure that you keep doing your karma despite what everybody else or anybody else tells you. You could have naysayers, you could have yaysayers, you meet all kinds of people in your professional careers, but you just keep doing your karma, and that is important. You keep doing that, and the rewards, the results, the appreciation will all circle back. And in that journey, if you can uplift a few other colleagues, you can uplift women colleagues, you can uplift your sisters, your daughters, keep doing that. That is your way of giving back to you being a woman in sales. So do your karma, keep contributing to the community in terms of other women, because you know how hard it is for balancing things, how hard it is for women to sometimes step out of their boundaries. Each one of us fights against our own glass ceilings, how important it is for each one of us to shatter those. But if you keep doing your karma, things will happen. Things will come back to you, positive, good things will come back to you. And, that's what I always, at the beginning of the year, when I have a look and I sit down and look at my quota for the year, for example, it it doesn't make me nervous. Whatever be the quota increase that I get each year, and I handle big numbers, millions of dollars of sales, it doesn't really ever make me nervous, because I just believe in the power of doing karma. I just do my job, I just believe in myself, and the rest just follows a suit. And that's what I would say is something I have handed over to my son as a mother. Keep doing the things that you believe in yourself, and the rest will follow. Try and excel in whatever you're doing, and everything else will fall in place. And I guess that's really profound, heavy, solid advice for a 20-year-old. My son is 20, and but if he follows even a part of that, I think he's done for life.
But what is the feeling of your son looking at you? You're growing. Is it really matters for a son to look such a woman?
Yeah, actually, my son is really, really very proud of me, and he tells me that I quiz him sometimes. I ask him these questions. I said, "What are the three things that you've learned from your mom?" He says, she's very finicky about things, and then he'll go off on that track. And then I said, no, professionally. He says, Mom, your tenacity, your drive, the fact that you believe that you can do it all. I've never seen you ever be nervous before a big presentation, or when you have a big quarter in the offing, and you know that you really need to hit the ball out of the park. You're really sort of confident. And he says, that's what I take away from you, that believe hard work always pays. And that's what I think he takes from me. And that's what he says is something he has learned from me. And I know that he's very, very proud of who I am today.
Wow, I think that's a good feeling for every woman who is growing. They should know that they're not only growing, they're also inspiring their children, the
Yep.
other women community. That's most
Absolutely.
important.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, uplift the women in your life. And that upliftment does not necessarily mean that you as a woman have to do it, but every member of your family needs to recognize and acknowledge the fact that they have a role to play in the life of their respective partners, their sister's life, their mother's life, and that they need to contribute their own share. And I think by bringing up your kids or your sons, and by having a partner who believes in what you're doing, that's a message that should go out to everybody, that they have that support. The male members in your family and the other women in your family are supporting you. I think that's very, very important.
Okay, so audience are asking question. Achana, she's asking, what was your first sales experience?
you know um, I'm really happy to say that my sales experience has always been great. My customers have been super. My managers and bosses have been great. They have always given me the space to do things my way. Till date, I have not had a manager who sort of did not believe in what I was doing. Obviously, there were results to prove that what I was doing was right. But my first sales experience was, if memory serves me right, and it was a long term ago. um, I was selling digital, hardware products, computers, laptops, etc., many, many years ago. And it was B2B sales. And I remember that they were like, the experience was great. It was, they believed in me, they believed in what I was positioning. I think I did my homework well. So it was awesome. And I think that's the reason why I continued to sort of move from strength to strength, is because I've always seen, and if you do a good job, people recognize it. Your customers recognize it. Your colleagues recognize it. And that really inspires you to do better every day. So do not get let down if your first experience was not a very positive one. Like I said, come back to rule number one. And rule number one is believe in yourself. Today, your experience might not be a good one, but then tomorrow, wake up with fresh energy and go for it. I really enjoyed it, Archana. I think I celebrated it with colleagues. I felt a lot of sense of accomplishment. It was a very small sale, I remember, but it really made me feel, wow, it had a very exhilarating influence on me as a professional. So it was great. And everybody might not have that first experience, but like I said, come back to rule number one: believe in yourself, have that self-worth conversation within your head, and then the next day get up with the same excitement. And I can assure you, you will have the second best experience, if not the first best experience.
But Sujata, like some women, they're just behind scene, that they're unable to talk, they're unable to face customers because it's male dominated industry. They're afraid. But I think every woman will undergo all these challenges initially, right? So what is the piece of advice you want to give?
Of course, it depends from person to person. I am just naturally a very sort of extrovert kind of a person. So for me, it was easy to build bridges. It was easy for me to find common conversations that helped me build relationships. But I think listening is a very important skill. And if you listen to your customers, you will soon realize that there's not such a good or bad. There's nothing like a good or a bad customer. They might be good or bad people, but customers, if you listen to them, if you listen to what they really want, and respond back accordingly, I think everybody will have a good sales experience. So the listening piece is very important. And Of course, you certain people have to, they're just not naturally outwardly focused, so they have to make a concentrated effort. But again, keep having that conversation in your mind, that you're the best person for this job. Like I said, women are a natural fit for sales. They are great relationship builders. They are great at nurturing. They listen to everybody in their family, so they should be good listeners any which ways. All of those skills are so relevant for a sales job. And if you just lean on them, I think you will soon discover that it'll become easier and easier for you to have those conversations with your clients. So keep listening to them, keep showing that their interests are important to you. I always say the customer first approach is the best and the easiest approach. Don't try and sell and position and pitch your products, but try and sell a solution to their problem. Once you start keeping them in front and make their needs the most important needs, sales is going to be very easy. And that is my advice to all new saleswomen.
Wow. I think Achana must have got the answer. And she also
I hope
asked
so.
how many hours initially you've spent in sales.
Wow. Um, one of the funny things is that it kind of reminds me, one of my customers actually wrote to me an email at very early in my career. And at those times, you didn't have mobile phones and things when I started selling. So for us, it was about going and responding back to customers the next day when you went and saw their email and you responded to them. Um, but I made sure that I was very, very consistent in terms of my communication with my customers. I made sure that even if I did not have a solution for them, I made sure that I let them know that I'm working on their request. So I always believed in keeping the conversation warm. Even if I did not have a particular product that fit in well with their requirements, I would just send them a interesting article on that technology, and I would do small little things that would keep the conversation warm, that made the customer believe that she has heard it, so I have heard them, and that I'm working on a solution for them. And so it could be, I don't really have a number for you, Archana, but it is about the continuity. It is about making sure that you keep the conversation warm, think of innovative ways, just drop them a note, even if you're not actively selling to them, but just let them know that you're there and you are really, really interested in supporting them in servicing their needs. And today I pretty much sell, I would say, 24 by 7. Like, I'm available to my clients, but it is important for you to strike a balance between work and home, and eventually you do learn to do that. But initially it's very hard to give me a number, but just keep the conversation warm. Just respond even if you don't have a solution, but just let them know that you've heard them and that you're working on a solution for them. That's really important.
Yeah, I think it's all the starting point, I believe, Sujata. Like once she started getting on the game, then things will fall in place.
Absolutely. And you can always course correct if you feel that, there's over communication or there's under communication. After a while, you'll find your balance. It's like when most women get married, they don't know much about cooking, especially Indian household. Like, I didn't know much about cooking, but over the years I found my balance. I did make some mistakes, and I did have some goof ups and some things burned, and but over time, because I kept at it, today I think I'm a fairly decent cook. So it comes to you, and like I said, lean on your natural instincts and it'll happen.
Sujata, like I want to know, usually I ask the guests like their daily habits, which is also important being a salesperson, how that is relative. What is your daily habits?
Yeah, I think it's very individualistic in the sense that, some folks say, oh, in the morning, in the first 2 hours, I do my emails and then I start making my, reaching out. And for my administrative things or my back end things, I just keep the afternoons. I think that's a fairly decent routine to keep. First and foremost, I do like to attend to all my client emails, and whether they're phone calls or presentations that I'm making to them, or I have proposal walkthroughs or whatever, I try and keep them in the morning hours. In the afternoons, I usually keep the more administrative kind of things. I keep my trainings in the afternoon. It's very important to keep yourself updated with your client's industry, so you do a little bit of research in the afternoons. It is an ongoing thing, and you can vary it from time to time. Fridays, usually I don't do a lot of active But then some clients prefer to speak only on a Friday because they just feel that from their day to day jobs, Friday is a bit more easier. So, kind of follow or get your cues from your customers, get your cues from the way it best works for you, and follow that schedule. And but make sure that, like I said, customer first. Always attend to your customers requests, their questions, their queries, the first thing. And I think that's an important sort of element in your daily schedule, and then everything falls after that. Like, I don't sit down in the first day in during the first thing in the morning, I don't sit down and update my CRM, for example. That's something
Mm.
that is administrative to me. It's important as an organization to keep your CRM updated, and as a salesperson to make sure that you have your data analytics, your matrix in place. But I prefer to do that in the afternoon hours. Mornings are usually dedicated to clients.
So, one more question. For startup salespeople, can you give some valuable suggestions?
Oh, well, recently I had some experience with startups. I think uh, startup salespeople have a bit more effort that goes into their sales jobs, just because, like, it is a startup. You haven't really, you don't have a brand that you're positioning. It's an early start. I would imagine that try and be innovative. Try and meet with your customer. When I say meet, I don't mean physically, but try and get in front of your customer through a variety of ways, whether it's digitally, through newsletters, through conferences, through actual emails, or just be in their face, because it is a very noisy marketplace today. You will have many customers vying for the same target audience. And it is important for your customer to hear you amongst all that noise. So, what are you doing differently so that the customer listens to you and notices you and your company rather than your competitor? So, you have to find innovative ways. Try and think what's going to make sense. It's not, I have a lot of fellow colleagues, and in my past, I've met salespeople who are they're brutal about CRM. They'll send emails after emails, reminder one, reminder two, reminder 10. I just don't follow that approach. It is about not the number of emails you send to your clients, but it's about what you send to your clients in that email. Does it make their life easier? Does it make their lives better in any way, having that information available in an email? Do you need they any which way get us? There are a zillion other salespeople people like us out there, and everybody wants to reach a customer. So what are you doing differently? So try and think on those lines. And I think as a startup, you would have to obviously step it up. So try and find more areas of stickiness with your clients as compared to when you carry a brand, when an established brand. But that would pretty much be, doesn't really change much from a established brand to a startup. The intensity varies, I guess, and that's what you should focus on.
Okay, thank you, Sujata. Now, one topic we have not touched upon, I would like to you to open up is about the organization. How organization playing a role to bring more and more women in sales? Because, as I've seen, there are many organizations who still thinks whether is it good idea to bring more and more women in sales. So, what is your input on it?
I certainly think that probably in those organizations, you don't have any women at the top making the decisions who would, have questions about should women be brought into the sales workforce or not. I think there are a lot of things that organizations can do. I think first and foremost, organizations should have women sales leaders at the top. If sales strategies are being decided and there is no diversity at the top, you will see that reflected at various levels in the organization. So, the leaders in the organization have an important role to play. They have to exhibit the fact that they believe in the power that women bring to the workforce, whether it's sales or any other function. And they have to show that in actually having women at the top. I think when you see role models in senior executive positions, you are inspired. I would be very inspired to work for an organization that has a woman CEO, for example. Now, that reflects the fact that the organization believes that in gender diversity, the organization believes in having a woman at the top and believes that a woman can equally contribute to the success of an organization. So that's why they have a women CEO. So I think that's a message that needs to come from the top. They need, and maybe in this age, organizations have to make a few extra moves in order to show that that is the gender diversity is important to them. And that's something I would encourage, because like we say that teamwork is makes products, solutions, everything greater, better. But the difference between a super organization and a spectacular organization is one that recognizes that gender diversity is important, and it's a message that needs to come from the top. So I think that's where the changes at every level should be brought into play.
Yeah, I agree to you. So we are end of the show. I want to know like how people can reach out to you if they want.
I'm
Please.
very, very available on LinkedIn. If any of my fellow sales women colleagues have any questions for me, they can look me up on LinkedIn. They can send me a question. Um, I'd be very happy if I can make even a little bit of an impact on your careers and in your lives as a salesperson, or even just as a fellow women colleague. You need not just be in sales to ask me a question, but if I can do that, I would be very happy, and I would feel that in some way I have given back uh, to my women colleagues, for that matter. So, be yourself. Let's just celebrate and rejoice how each one is, and we each have a different flavor. So let the flavors flow. I think, the world would be a lot more colorful when they have so many different flavors, and it would be exciting to have everybody, but sort of reach out and be their own self. I look forward to hearing. Thank you so much, Archana. I really appreciate your questions. And like I said, feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn. It has my contact details as well, my email. If you have a question, post it, and I will try and definitely make sure I uh, get back with a piece of advice. I don't know how relevant, or even if I am in a position to give you advice. Honestly, like I said, my best is still to come. I'm pretty sure your best is still to come. But feel free, speak up. Don't be afraid to voice your thoughts, your opinions, and just woman power. Power to all women. I truly believe in that, and you should too. So thank you so much for having me, Tilaga. I don't know if I was worthy of you having a talk show with me, but I truly, truly appreciate it's my first one, and I hope I have many more such conversations, and I'm able to influence and in my own way empower women. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, 100%. You are inspired a lot of people, and I'm sure who is going to watch the recorded, they'll be getting inspired by you. So it's a wonderful conversations and lot of insights about women, about work-life balance, how to communicate to the children. I think lot more we have discussed today. So thanks a lot. It's my honor, privilege to have you today,
Thank
Sujata.
you. And everybody have a great 2022. Stay safe. And when in doubt, ask a question. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.